Jags Nation. This is the Action Sports Jags postgame show, sponsored by Farah & Farah, the exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars.
All right, 2 losses in 6 days now for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and 8-3 now looks like 8-5 with a game against Baltimore coming up Sunday Night Football at the bank, where the Jaguars haven't been very good, 2-4 in fact, but they lose this one to Cleveland. 31-27 is your final. Doug, you could have kicked that point after and helped me out there, buddy, but you got a little selfish there at the end. I actually get to thinking more of that than I did when you're down 14 and you were going to go for 2. But anyway, we'll talk about it all, everybody. Look who I found. Marcel Robinson we're bringing in today to reinforce. And boy, oh boy, I would be more of the sky is falling guy, like you trolls on social media lose your mind after every play, if I knew that the Jaguars were at full strength. But my gosh, the offensive line and who they're trotting out, they're on their 4th left tackle, okay? Yeah. We got Shatley in there. I got backups galore in there. Really, probably at one point, our best offensive lineman is the rookie Anton Harrison. We got no Christian Kirk. Now, he's not coming back, so they're going to have to figure that out. But they got a lot of work to do here.
Yeah, I think I'm with you in the camp of it would feel a little bit worse if they were at full strength. But at the end of the day, I mean, you know just as well as I do. I mean, it's the NFL. Yeah. Everybody's beat up. Everybody's missing guys. Cleveland was missing Denzel Ward, and their secondary didn't seem to struggle at all. So, I mean, we're kind of at that point in the season where, you know, you got to figure some things out. You know, everybody's missing guys. And, you know, what I think is more alarming to me is that this is, again, the 2nd game in a row, Dan, where the guys have had a chance to extend that lead, you know, in the division. And, you know, good teams find ways to win and bad teams find ways to lose. And unfortunately, we look like a bad team right now.
Well, what there is no excuse for is sloppy football. And there was a lot of sloppy football today. Trevor didn't have his best game. Wasn't all his fault. You know, I give him credit for toughing it out and playing, first off. And I know, again, a lot of you guys, oh, Trevor stinks, blah, blah. He doesn't stink, okay? I mean, I've never seen a receiver run a route and not turn his head around, which happened on one interception. He had a touchdown to Zay Jones, but there was a little tug on the jersey. It didn't call that, so that one hurt. And then the other interception, he was throwing it to the side of the field, and that got picked. The numbers aren't pretty. 3 interceptions and a fumble by Parker Washington. 4 turnovers by the Jags, 3 turnovers by the Browns, 7 turnovers in all. And the Jags just could never quite catch up, right? They got down 14-0, 14-7, 21-7, 21-14, 28-14, 28-21, 31-21, 31-27. Never quite. They cannot run the football, though. Yeah, they cannot run the football. Etienne at 35 yards rushing on 14 carries, 2.7 yards a carry. They can't run it.
Yeah, and that's obviously definitely going to be their problem. I mean,
can't run it.
We talk about it here all the time. What's the #1 objective for a defense? Stopping the run. Yeah. You know, everything starts with the run, and like you said, they couldn't get anything going with Etienne, which sort of translated, I mean, to everything. I mean, credit them for trying. It looked like they tried everything, but, you know, just nothing seemed to work for the Jags today.
And then Cisco goes out, and at one point, Rayshon left for a couple plays. At one point, you had Daniel Thomas, Dewey Wingard, Buster Brown, Antonio Johnson. Yeah. I mean, these are guys who are out there, and Joe Flacco carved them up. And he carved them up because of miscommunications, which is the hard part. That's the frustrating part. The big plays, right? The first drive, we leave Njoku wide open. Njoku gets wide open again, runs in for a touchdown. And then on the 4th down play, they bunch the receivers up. Darius Williams slips. Guy catches it off to the races, touchdown. It just... You take those, but you can't. You can't take those plays away. Flacco carved them up, and again, here's the thing. And I said this on radio during the week. There's a real good chance the Jags are going to be 8-6 after the loss to Cincinnati. Now, this was the one they needed to win. Baltimore's going to be tough, but you can still win it. Don't get me wrong. But it's more important at this point, if you are 8-6, the sky is, you know, not falling. But you got to still play.
It's a little gray, though.
It is gray.
A little gray.
But you got to play better football. You got to get to 10. Okay, but look at your last 3, Marcel. Bucks, Panthers, Titans. And by that time, most of those teams are going to be mailing it in. Yeah. So, listen, you've got to stay the course, and you've got to figure out ways to get to 10 wins, which I think you'll be okay. As I said last week, once you lost to Cincinnati, to me, the #1 seed was gone. So it's now about winning the division, getting a home playoff game, and seeing what you can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think you dumb it down a little more than that. Just win your games. I mean, don't worry about what happens. You know, the number one, the seeding in the division.
Right.
Just win your games. Why? Because if you're winning games, you're playing your best football. And obviously, this team is not playing their best football right now. And this is the time of the year where you want to be playing your best football. How many times have we?
By the way, what are you doing wearing a tie? You're not supposed to outdress the co-host. I mean, that's weak. I mean, what are we doing here?
I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
I thought it's no tie rule on the post. We're not on TV here.
Well, there's a Marcel rule, and that's outdress everyone that I encounter everywhere I go.
Gee whiz, man, come on. Sorry, I digress. Here's the thing. The Jags got ahead of schedule last year.
Yep.
And so that raised expectation in the offseason, which is cool. I got no problem with it. And then they played really good football early on, right? They had 5 wins in a row at one point. They were 6-2. It was great. Then we're talking about dreaming of big things, Vegas, the Super Bowl, etc. Listen, let's make the playoffs for the second straight year. Let's get into the tournament and see what can happen. Right now, let's see. You would play who's the number 1 wild card team right now, Liv? It's hard to tell exactly.
It's a little jumbled.
4 would play 5.
Right.
Right. So, and again, there's so much football left. It really doesn't matter at this point. But we got solids from the Jets today, and we got solid from Cincinnati today.
Yep.
In other words, the Texans lost, and boy, did you see the hit C.J. Stroud took on his head?
Yeah.
Snapped back on that turf?
Yeah, not even him. That game, they suffered a lot of injuries, too.
Yeah.
You saw Will Anderson went down, obviously. So, you know, that's a team that they're going to be dealing with injuries, and none bigger than C.J. Stroud.
The one thing that frustrates me a little bit as a Jag fan, though, is coming out of the bye, right? I talked about a 6-game stretch, okay, of tough football. Your toughest football of the year. I said 4-2, 3-3 at worst. Well, you got your 2. You got hammered by the Niners. The Bengals knocked you off. We'll put the big L up here tonight. Now you got the Ravens, which is a tough game. Now I'm not going to sit here and tell you there's no. They match up for whatever reason. They play the Ravens well. But man, oh man, some of the stupidity today. Adam Gotsis on a 4th and 6 on punt and to encroach. You're not blocking the punt, Adam.
Yep.
Wait till the ball snapped.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a mistake, especially from a veteran guy.
Simply can't do that.
You're right. Just simply something you cannot do. I mean, this is a team that's playing football now where they can't afford self-inflicted errors like that anywhere.
We watched the game together, and you put up the game notes, Liv. Here are the game notes. Again, too many yards for the Cleveland Browns offense, man. They stopped the run better today, 389. More first downs. Penalties, whatever. The turnovers, again, you can't turn the dadgum ball over 4 times and expect to win. But we were watching the game together, me, Marcel, and Liv in the office, and there was a discussion here, and I brought this up, and it didn't happen until the very end of the game because there were a lot of close DPIs, defensive pass interferences.
Sure.
And I said, hey, Marcel, has there been any defensive pass interferences today or any even holds? And the answer was no. These refs let them play today, which is fine, but then we're going to complain the whole – I mean, the Jags were close on a few as well on their defensive side. So it kind of evens out if you don't call them. So, and then we get the one at the end, the gift, and we get the touchdown to give ourselves a chance. But you can't get onside kicks anymore in the NFL. Yeah. You're better off with some new – we got to come up with a new rule. Yeah. Onside kicks are obsolete, man. They never happen. Although unless you spring it on them. Yeah. Like at the beginning of a game.
When it's not an obvious situation that you're kicking
you're not getting it.
Kick.
You just don't get it. Right. And the Jags didn't get it, and they lose 31-27. They scored a touchdown to make it, what was it, 28-14, and then they were going to go for 2? No, yeah, am I right? 28-14. They were going to go for 2. They had to delay a game, and they ended up kicking it. Right, to make it 28-14. Is that right? Or it was 28-14. They scored a touchdown to make it 28-20.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And then the Jags decided, okay, we're going to go for 2. Now, that's what analytics tell you. I hate that. I hate that more than I hate not kicking the extra point at the end of the game. But nonetheless, the bottom line is the Jags blew it. They blew it on the road in Cleveland. Their perfect record on the road is gone. Cleveland is not a very good team. We should be able to win that game.
I mean,
but again, we're not the same team either right now.
This is true, but I mean, you got to give credit to that Cleveland defense. Obviously, they're one of the top-rated defense in the NFL for a reason. I mean, that defensive line, they get after it. But I think the biggest problem for me, and we talked about it during the game, was on offense. Obviously missing Christian Kirk was going to be a big blow, but there were very few instances.
Bigger than we thought, I think.
Definitely bigger than we thought.
Right.
For
I mean,
sure.
people don't appreciate the dirty work, I guess, that Christian Kirk does. And not having him is big. Here you see Etienne again. We cannot run the ball. 2.7 yards a carry. Evan Ingram has to have games like this the rest of the way. He's now got 84 catches this year, by the way. 84 catches. He got 2 more touchdowns. Ridley, I got to step up, son. We got to have more from you.
I think that's fair to say for everyone across the board.
Yeah. But Ridley, you're our top guy. We got to get 8 for 125 out of you. We got to. Zay Jones, 5 for 29. Ball's going off his fingertips all day. Trevor wasn't totally on target either, Matt. He threw the ball 50 times today, right?
Yeah.
Was it 50?
He was near 50. At last check, he was at 47. So I think he
there
may
was
have
a
finished
play and then again, now you start getting as you start 28 out of 50. If you start thinking about the game, Marcel, these things drive you crazy. But you got a 3rd and 1. You're on your own 29. Rush up to the line, get the first down. He goes empty, and they throw it down the field because they hit one of those earlier this year. Where was it? To Ridley down the sideline. Remember that on a 3rd and short? Anyway, it was picked off, and it was a dumb play call, man. There was no need for that at that point in the game. I thought that was dumb. We kept trying to hit the deep ball today. We could not do it, and in the end, the Jags lose. They did score 27 points, but I guess you could say kind of that last touchdown was sort of prevent all the way, dumping it to Etienne over and over.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I think you're at that point in the game. You're Cleveland. You're talking about, hey, just keep everything in front of you. Don't give up the big play. Don't give up a back-breaking type of play. If they want to go underneath, and drive it down the field, the clock is your friend at that point. So you just let them get everything they need underneath, and just trust your defense that have been playing well all game.
So the Jags fall to 8-5. And again, I'm just not one to lose my mind over this one because I kind of feel like I see it coming. And we still got one more opportunity. Now, you slip to 8-6, those last 3 games become very, 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 very important games. Sure. Liv, do we have the scores from today or the standings or whatever we have next? Whatever you have. Pop something up there. Give me the South. All right, so see, this is where we're at. All right, so we're 8-5. We got the Ravens. The Colts got the Steelers, who are suddenly reeling, by the way. And the Texans beat up today. Got to go to Tennessee, who doesn't play until tomorrow night.
But you also wonder, is that a Texans team that's coming in with or without C.J. Stroud?
Right. So lots of questions to be answered. Bottom line is we got a big solid today. And so, again, we win most of the tiebreakers, too. So we're still like a game and a half ahead, if you will. I know we have the tiebreaker on the Colts. And if we beat the Titans at the end, we'll be 5-1 in the division, which would give us the tiebreak, I think, over the Houston Texans. And the Colts and Texans still got to play. So one of those teams is guaranteed to have 7 losses. So you see how it starts to add up when you start doing the math. So the Jags are still in good shape in the South. But I think the disappointing thing for fans today is we want to see a team that bounced back.
Of course.
We want to see a team that shows us that, man, we can overcome adversity. We want to see a team that says, all right, despite the injuries, we have depth. These things aren't the case right now. That part, you have a right to be disappointed with.
Yeah, and I think to piggyback on that, I think it's not even just that. I think it's just this is the team that, coming down, getting all those expectations and being talked about as the number 1 seed, overall seed in the AFC, not just in the AFC South. And to sort of kind of, it feels like it's sort of slipping right through their fingers by their own fault.
Yeah.
It's not because of.
Yeah, you're looking for them to kind of create some room in the South.
Yeah, and
you had 2 opportunities against Cincinnati and Cleveland, and honestly, 2 games you probably should win.
Yeah, I would agree. But I think that's part of the disappointment, obviously, is because truth be told, the sky's not falling, as you said earlier, because everything that you want to accomplish is still right there.
Also true.
But the farther you get in the season.
But here's the underlying issue, though, Marcel. This is the truth. The offensive line is average at best. We'll start there.
Yeah,
it's even when healthy.
Average
at best.
After today, I think you would say below average.
Well, today was about one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen the Jags put out, including the expansion years, because we had Baselli year 1. That was terrible. And
it wasn't good.
they're going to have to upgrade the offensive line in the offseason.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not, again, Cam, Walker Little, you're missing those guys. So it was Cam, then Walker Little, then Ezra Cleveland started. He lasted, 6 plays?
Yeah, he's gone.
He was gone. So Blake Hance is your 4th left tackle against Myles Garrett. Can't win.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't win that matchup.
Yeah, no.
But there were times where they left the kid alone, which I guess you have to in football. Sometimes you got to win your matchups.
I mean, obviously that's the name of the game is one of your matchups. But like you said, it's kind of one of those things where, you sign these guys, you pick these guys up, you keep these guys over other guys for them to step into those roles. Now, obviously, Myles Garrett is a freaking beast. I mean, the guy plays basketball and everything against centers. But, who's going to block Myles Garrett one-on-one? Not many people.
Okay, so average offensive line at best. Then I shift to, I still need help at running back. Dearness runs hard. Etienne's a good football player, but I still think there's room for there. Receivers, I don't know what you're going to do. I mean, again,
Well, at this point, you don't have a choice. You have what you have.
We'll ride this out, but I'm talking long term here. I'm talking about the window, man. I'm talking about you got Trevor Lawrence here, and you got to win with Trevor Lawrence, and you can win with Trevor Lawrence, but Balky's got to help him, man. You got to help him. And on the defensive side of the ball, again, 1 sack today, and who was it by? The rookie from Texas A&M, Antonio Johnson on a blitz that he ran free. Josh Allen disappeared, and your guy, 44, did he make a play today? Did Trayvon Walker have a tackle today? Check the stats, please.
Nothing noticeable. Not what you would want to see, regardless of whether he had any tackles or not. Not those game-wrecking plays that they needed.
No, bro, I need something.
And I'll be honest with you. It's at this point in the year. I mean, not even just for Trayvon, for anybody. It's not good enough to be just in position to make the play.
You can't go a game without.
He was, and obviously Trayvon's a guy who you and I have.
Well, we focus on him because he's a top pick overall.
Yes. And
1 solo tackle.
And he's made impactful plays, but that don't show up in the box score.
I agree with that. Foley Fatukasi was also out of the lineup today, so obviously that hurt.
That's a big body up front.
Meant more snaps. I mean, Devon Hamilton is not back yet, I don't think. I don't know how he played today, but we did a much better job against the run, but I don't know how specifically these guys played. I need more out of Roy Robertson Harris, man. We gave him a contract extension last year. He's got to play better.
I think today was an off game for him, though. I think he's played consistently well, at least from my vantage point.
All right.
But today, I think today was an off game for everybody.
Yeah, you can't have off games. We're in December. We're 0-2 in December.
You're right.
That ain't good enough.
You're right.
All right, give me some scores from around the league, Liv. Freddie Falcon went down. Marcel, how did that one taste to you as the Bucks beat the Falcons 29-25?
Hey, death, taxes, and Falcons finding ways to lose, right?
They were down on the 3-yard line at the end of the game, and they couldn't get in. The Bucks scored late. The Panthers are awful. I don't have Bryce Young's numbers, but early on they were bad.
Yeah.
But Carolina is by far the worst team in the league. But don't worry, they have the number 1. Oh, no, they traded that to Chicago to get Bryce Young.
It's going to be rough up there in Charlotte for a little bit.
Oof, they are really bad because the Saints aren't that good, but the Saints get the win in the NFC South. The Bengals with this Browning kid, Browning, had another big day. And listen, he is Rob Johnson reincarnate. Bengals could trade him for a pick. First, if this kid keeps playing like this and gets the Bengals into the postseason, watch out. So big win over the Minshew-led Colts. They hammered them. The Colts had won 4 in a row. They weren't going to win 5 in a row. And then the Jets, Zach Wilson. Let's clap it up for Zach Wilson, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you got to root for Zach Wilson at some point. My goodness gracious, Zach Wilson is terrible. By the way, afternoon games, Buffalo's leading Kansas City 14-0. So go figure that. The Ravens beat the Rams on a walk-off punt return in overtime.
Gotta love it. And that game still finished before ours.
Good point. We're waiting for Doug Pederson, by the way. The Ravens hit a 3rd and 17 for a touchdown from the 20-yard line.
Yeah.
To tie the game. And then the Bears hammer the Lions. The Lions have been not quite as good of late, and it's a big moment for Justin Fields because he wants to prove that he's going to be the guy in Chicago. They have the number 1 pick. They got a huge decision to make at season's end, but I think they snapped a 4 or 5 game losing streak. Is that all the games? That's all the games. Do we have the podium shot for Doug? Are we, huh? I mean, but we see it. Yeah. Okay, so we're waiting Doug Pederson. So hopefully he's hoarse from yelling at his team. Because, again, I'm not a sky is falling guy on this postgame show, but I am annoyed at the way they, like you said, the way they played football today. It wasn't good football. It wasn't clean football. A lot of stupid mistakes that champions don't make. You want to be a champion, you know.
Not even champions, just playoff contenders.
Yeah, you steal that game, man. You go up to Cleveland and you had chances to steal that game, and you never did. And that's, I think, what the frustrating thing is for Doug Pederson. You got your quarterback toughing it out, giving it a go. And I don't know if the right ankle was affected his throwing today. We'll find out. I don't think he was particularly sharp today, but he wasn't as bad as the 3 interceptions. His guys didn't help him. We were watching the game. Marcel watches the game with a receiver's eye because he fashions himself a receiver, and you felt like they weren't getting open.
I mean, I think from my vantage point, it just didn't look like any of the receivers were consistently winning on their routes.
Yeah, you got to win.
And it doesn't matter, how much time you have in the pocket, whether your quarterback's hurt or not hurt. If your guys aren't winning downfield, well, then obviously that you're going to struggle. And of course, if you're Cleveland, if I can trust my back end guys to hold down these 4 receivers, I'm lining up 8 in the box and I'm jailbreaking every single play, which is exactly what we saw, especially against the weak offensive line today.
And here's an example: we had a 4th and 4 with about 4 minutes to go at the Jags' own 40. I got no problem with Pederson going for it. You can't really. It's not like our defense was stopping those guys.
Sure.
So he goes for it. Okay, we're going for it. Trevor goes back to pass, and they show the wide shot. He had to throw it into double coverage. I mean, there's nobody open.
Well, and that, and also, I mean, the clock is sped up in his head.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times?
True too.
How many times did we see, Travis Etienne run out of Wildcat before he even turns the corner? There's 6 brown jerseys in the backfield.
It was deplorable.
The
blocking up front today was
the game is won and lost in the trenches, right? If your offensive line is not playing well, it doesn't matter if you've got Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, you name it, who you have out there running routes, and you could have a combination of Patrick Mahomes mixed with Tom Brady, mixed with Michael Vick. It doesn't matter if your trenches, if the offensive line is not playing well and the receivers aren't winning. I mean, you're not going to move the football. It doesn't matter.
All right, we're 21 minutes into the postgame show, and we still have no Doug Pederson, so that tells me that there's something going on. Let's listen to Brent Martineau, though, and get some observations. He's up in Cleveland. Let's see what he has to say.
This game did not go how anyone thought it would go here in Cleveland, Ohio. 31-27. Kind of a shootout that didn't really feel like a shootout. The quarterbacks combined to throw it 95 times, 7 turnovers. Joe Flacco, 3 touchdowns and 300-plus yards at 38 years old. They hardly even tried to run the football, and it worked. They were 3 for 3 on 4th down conversions. Both teams were a mess on 3rd down conversions. The Jaguars were a mess on 1st down almost the entire game, which really set the table for a sputtering and problematic offense. This one's all on the offense, really, if you think about it. The defense allowed some huge plays, and they shouldn't allow that against Joe Flacco, the 4th quarterback, to win a football game for the Cleveland Browns this year. But the offense got the ball back via the turnover several times, and yet they kept turning it over too. 4 turnovers on the day. What's the matter with the receivers? Zay Jones and Trevor just seemingly not completely on the same page. Calvin Ridley and Trevor definitely not on the same page. And the Jags cannot get Travis Etienne going at all. Just no run game whatsoever for the Jaguars. They tried with Etienne a bit out of the Wildcat was effective, but they just can't run the football enough. There were some head-scratching moments in this football game, and maybe the most head-scratcher, the biggest head-scratcher, 3rd and short in the 4th quarter. Instead of a quarterback sneak or just a simple play to get the 1st down, the Jaguars throw one-on-one down the field, and it was the final interception for Trevor Lawrence. They kept battling, but it wasn't enough. Well, the guy had an unbelievable game. Evan Ingram, once again, 11 catches and 2 touchdowns in this one. We'll talk all about it throughout the evening, get some reaction from the locker room, and the Jags are reeling a bit now. They've lost 2 in a row, 8-5, with Baltimore coming to town on Sunday night. Always on the road with the Jags, this time in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm Brent Martineau, Action Sports Jax.
Yeah, I love Brent's spot on, except for it was a team loss, man. It wasn't all on the offense. The end of the game, there's 27 points. Again, even 20. I mean, come on, man. It's Joe Flacco. We've made Joe Flacco and Jake Browning look like Joe Montana the last 2 weeks, in my opinion. You can't do that, man. You can't let him go right down the field and score a touchdown on the opening drive and make it 7-0. You can't let him make it 14-0 when Njoku catches one over the middle and doesn't get touched and runs to the end zone. You just can't.
Yeah, I think, truthfully, I think the defense played as best as they could, considering, I guess, if you can say that. But I think most of this game was definitely on the offense, and I think that's part of just kind of everything that we've talked about. Receivers not winning, offensive line playing bad, your quarterback's playing on one good ankle, one that's kind of okay. We talk about not being able to get the run game going. Well, that's simply because Cleveland decided that they were going to stack the box because we couldn't do anything else. They knew the Jags were going to try to run it because they were struggling at wide receiver. And as a defensive coordinator, you just, hey, we're going to do this until they figure out how to move on us. And they couldn't move it.
Here comes Foyesade Oluokun with Brent.
Before you get a lot of different guys jumping in the lineup with other guys going on, how much does that add to the confusion, trouble, potentially on some of those big plays?
It's always next man up. It's NFL football. They don't really care if it's third string or first string. You're in the game. Got to execute for the team, for the boys. Opportunity to get better from it. Got to learn fast. Got to come and play our best football going down the stretch.
You guys have been good when you kind of get that backs against the wall mentality. I mean, will it feel that way a little bit this week after losing 2 in a row?
Yep. Got to find a way to get a win, for sure.
Obviously, quarterbacks have done pretty well against you guys last 2 weeks. Is it just not enough rush and cover? Is it?
Tackle better, end those drives better. They do quick games. Guys, balls in front of us. I got to make tackles.
Nothing surprising today? Anything they were doing that was?
I really don't believe so. Just got to tackle better.
Doug Pederson meeting the media.
The possibility of overtime.
Well, I think sometimes that's maybe the easiest thing to think about, right? But when you're down there and your team is, just scored, we got a little momentum right there, and for me, it was kind of an easy decision to go for it at that time. Because then, if you get a chance to get the ball back, you know exactly what you got to do, right? So, either way. It worked to your advantage.
Was there a consideration, I think when it was 4th and 3, maybe 3.5 or 4.5 minutes to go, to maybe, you had all 3 of your timeouts, you were down by 7 at the time. Was there a consideration to maybe punt there, or did you just kind of feel like?
I think if it was 4th and 10, yes, but 4th and 3 is your better chance percentages to pick up the first down. So it was another one that we decided to go for and got it.
What was your overall feeling about just the flow of the game? You guys are playing uphill all day long, and it just didn't seem like things were buttoned up early.
Yeah, I think offensively we were a little disconnected. Trevor and the receivers were a little off. We had opportunities to make plays in the first half, didn't. Obviously, the turnovers, are big, and you can't do that. We had a little success early running the football. With some of the things we did to keep them off balance, but just overall, just not enough plays made. Too many self-inflicted wounds. That kept us from sustaining drives or staying on the field.
Did you feel like Calvin and Trevor weren't quite on the same page on a couple plays?
A couple times. And again, without a week of practice together, that affects that a little bit. But they, obviously that's not an excuse, and they would say the same thing. They've played a lot of football together and all that. So we just got to evaluate the tape and figure out a way to get back on track.
Not having Christian, for the first time, was that impact compounded by the fact that Trevor wasn't really able to practice much all week?
No, I don't think so. Again, Parker, other than the fumble early in the third quarter there, I thought did some good things. Obviously, the touchdown catch was big, but he'll continue to improve. And he and Trevor will continue to work and be on the same page, and just give him some more opportunities.
You feel like it's going to take a little bit more time to kind of get the offense back in the flow without Christian?
Obviously we miss Christian, obviously. I mean, he's a big part of the offense. But, look, it's, where we are in the season, this late. I mean, it's the next man up mentality, right? So we've got to continue to, as coaches, prepare our players and get those guys ready to go, regardless of who's in there. So a lot of confidence, and we move forward.
What do you make of the coaching job Stefanski's done over there? I think I saw a stat that they're the 8th team to win a game 4 different starting quarterbacks since 1950.
He's doing a heck of a job. Yeah.
On the 3 interceptions, Trevor, how many of those were just over aggressive or miscommunications? What did you see on those?
Some of it was maybe, I think the first deep ball was just an overthrow. The one in the red zone, he and Calvin need to be on the same page, and they weren't, right there. And then the one in the fourth quarter, again, was a play that you hope you put it up to one of your better receivers, and you hope you can at least come down with it, or at least incomplete pass. So a little bit of everything there, but plays that we've made before, and looking forward, we got to make those.
And a couple David and Joku touchdowns are early for the Browns. The defensive was that.
We pressured on the first one, and they got us. So credit Cleveland there. I mean, they did a good job there. And then the next one, we just misfit a gap, and he was open across the middle. All things that the second one really is in our control. And so we got to look at the film there and make that correction, just check out the communication at the time to see what was going on.
Was you were getting with Joe Flacco regarding Clinton against him and being on your roster for a hot second? I know he's only been on the Browns roster for less than a month, or was any surprise regarding the production he put up today, even at an older age? Or
no, listen, he's a veteran guy. He's played a ton of football. He's got some really good players to throw the ball to, and he did a nice job today. And their offense did a nice job kind of keeping our guys off balance, a little bit. And, it's no surprise that he's still playing as well as he is, this late in his career.
Why do you say that?
Say what?
No surprise that he's still playing.
He's a veteran guy. He's played a ton of football. He's smart, and he's just one of those guys that just takes what the defense gives you, right? And he was accurate today. He threw it away, when he needed to throw it away. He managed the game, played well, and when the opportunities were there, he made the most of them, right? So got out of some sacks, so that he can escape the pocket.
Production you got out of Ezra before he got hurt, and then Hans. How did that go today?
I thought it went well. I mean, there was some pressure there. Obviously, we gave up 4 sacks, I think, today, but a lot of them came at the end of the game, when you're in those passing modes. But, I thought both guys did a nice job. Obviously, we helped them as much as we could over there with tight ends and backs. And, but I thought both guys held up good.
About injuries, Cisco and Cleveland?
Both of them. We'll have to see. I don't know. I got to talk to Ferg, obviously. We'll do more evaluation when we get home tonight.
Thanks.
Thanks, Doug. Doug Pederson, he's not in a great spot right now, not in the best of moods. I could tell that. I mean, listen.
Would you be?
No, he shouldn't be. I don't agree with everything he said either. And some interesting questions, how do you think Kevin Stefanski's done? What do you think he's going to say? He's done great.
He's doing a terrible job, but his team came out and beat us.
I mean, they've won with 4 different quarterbacks this year. Mm-hmm. So anyway, tip of the cap to that. But miscommunications, too many miscommunications. They can't, they got us. In the NFL, they might get you, but they don't get you for a wide open touchdown. You know what I mean? The first touchdown, both guys were wide. I mean, you could throw it to either of them. And so I don't buy that. So, I mean, obviously he's not going to throw his guys under the bus. It's a beat-up football team, man. And we got a lot of guys who are down, and they're doing the best they can. And the best they can is not going to be a lot of wins right now, depending on who you play. Again, get yourself to 10 wins, win the division, and get healthy.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. I mean, I'm in a little bit of a different space where, I think it's time for them to really just take a look in the mirror. Every single one of those guys in those locker room, and they're professional athletes. They don't need to be told this, but we're going to hear what all these guys are going to say, and they're all going to say the same thing.
Right.
We had miscommunication. We got to play better. We've got to find ways to win.
Right.
It doesn't matter. We're hurt. Every team's beat up. All the coaches speak all the other stuff. Bottom line is, someone's got to go home and take a good look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Look at yourself. I played like absolute trash today.
No, you can say it. Liv, who's going to say all this right now? All right, let's go with Mr. Etienne.
How much of that is happening because you got so many new guys in? And I know that you said some of the similar mistakes, but you got guys playing that haven't played since forever, maybe.
But we can't use that as an excuse. This is the NFL. This is football at the highest level. They pay us to play football, so we have to be ready each and every play. And there's no excuses. We can't look at that as an excuse. We have to just be ready to go out there and be our best self.
Are you at all frustrated with just the running game can't break free? It seems like the last month. I know you're sticking with it, but it doesn't seem like it's there. And why do you think it's not there right now?
I have to find ways to get better. I have to be better from offensive line. They're doing a great job out there. I have to just continue to hit it, continue to trust it, be disciplined, and just keep trusting them. And they're going to continue to trust me, and I feel like we're going to get this thing rolling.
How weird was this football game? It looked like you might be out of it, and then your defense comes up, makes a big play or two, and did you always feel like you were there to have a chance?
Yeah, whenever I'm playing, whenever we're playing, we never feel like we're out of the game. You see NFL, everyone's out here professionals, and we understand that it takes just one play. Our defense played amazing. They got turnovers for us, turned out the turnover. We was able to capitalize on some, but we just got to find ways to continue to execute and not get those stalls throughout the game, and just come out there and just be fundamentally sound each and every possession.
How much did this offense miss Christian today? Just the leadership and the relationship and the communication he has with Trevor.
Whenever you lose a player like Christian, of course you're going to miss him. But I feel like we can't dwell on that. Christian is going, and he's not going to be here with us for the next 3 weeks, next 4 weeks. So next man step up. We had to have that next man mentality. So we couldn't dwell on what Christian could have done for us because he wasn't here.
Much such an urgency now for you guys, losing 2 in a row, and obviously time's running out on this regular season.
Back against the wall. We have to just come out and fight, continue to click, and just grow together, and understand that it's us versus everybody, and just come in, gel together, and just lock in for 4 weeks, lock in, and see where we can go.
I know it came in a losing effort. What do you think of Trevor's performance? What did it mean for you guys to have him out there battling through it?
Just the epitome of our team. Just out there fighting for one purpose, and that's to win, fighting for your brothers. And I feel like just seeing him out there it's just going to just bring so much energy and fire into the next game, because we all seen what happened last weekend and seeing what happened. And I feel like for him to be out here with us, trying to get us a victory, I feel like that's all you can ask for out of a quarterback.
All right, Travis Etienne, we are out of time on the post-game show. We're going to be back tonight. We've got Action Sports Jax Prime Time. The show's so good, we do it twice, 10:30 on Fox 30, 11:30 on CBS 47. Jags Report live tomorrow at Sneakers. Come on out and join us if you can. Rayshawn Jenkins scheduled to appear, so we'll see how it goes. Final thoughts, Marcel, before we get out of here?
Play better. That's
Play
it.
better.
Win ball games, everything takes care of itself.
Yeah, so they got to find a way to win. It ain't going to get any easier. The Baltimore Ravens, the current #1 seed in the AFC, come to town next Sunday night if you're ready for some more primetime football. At the Bank, thanks for hanging out with us. Jags lose to Cleveland in just kind of a yucky game, 31-27. Jags now 8-5 on the year.
Jags Nation, thanks for watching the Action Sports Jax postgame show. Sponsored by Farah & Farah, the exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars.